because the pitching starts shortly. Let's give a hand to Ms. Tanya.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here, also to honor our partnership with SANBio, CISR, in our SANBio Biz program, where we promote female entrepreneurship together. I would like to recognize everybody in the room by saying all protocols observed. My 6 years in the region have taught me that that is sufficient now to say all protocols observed. And I think it also expresses that we're really happy to see everybody, no matter what your rank or title or position is. As I said, I'm here to honor our partnership, and we really hope that together we can scale up our SANBio program, where we promote female entrepreneurship, as said. And I think that program also reflects HIVOS as a whole very well. Because our mission is to innovate for social change towards green and open societies. So societies where everybody can participate, everybody can benefit, and where we respect our nature, our natural resources at the same time. We just reached the honorable age of 50 years. HIVOS has a history of 50 years working towards those green and open societies. And we've always put a lot of emphasis on entrepreneurship, whether we called it green entrepreneurship or creative entrepreneurship, or nowadays more social entrepreneurship. We've always invested a lot in entrepreneurship, coming from acknowledging that entrepreneurs can bring change, can bring innovation, and that our economy as a whole is an effect of the course called entrepreneurs. So we really look at entrepreneurship from a social perspective and an environmental perspective. We're quite aware that not all entrepreneurs or all corporates contribute to humankind and to our goals of green and open societies, but we do see that quite a few entrepreneurs do, by creating employment, by giving back to the earth, and by focusing on the bottom of the pyramid. We've, in our long history, for example, supported smallholder farmers, creative entrepreneurs. We've supported and helped founding quite a few tech hubs on the continent, but we've also founded big financial institutions. So, for example, we were one of the first bigger organizations to embrace microfinance and microcredit, so also like being then already quite innovative. But we also created many funds like ZADT in Zimbabwe, where I'm based, so I'm proud to say always ZADT, Zimbabwe Agriculture Development Trust. It's one of the HIVOS babies to support entrepreneurs through loans. We have a big fund called HIVOS Triodos Fund, where we work with one of the sustainable banks, well, the only real sustainable bank in the Netherlands, and have supported so many small and micro enterprises across the globe, basically. And recently, I think it was in 2016, we also founded our own HIVOS Impact Investments. And Jaap, who's sitting there as the director, it's a separate entity from HIVOS, but of course we cooperate. And it's really making investments in social entrepreneurs, as I explained earlier, that are viable businesses, first of all, because otherwise Jaap doesn't invest. And on the other hand, have a social or environmental impact. And one of the funds under HIVOS Impact Investment is a Food and Lifestyle Fund, and it focuses on our region, Southern Africa. So that's where we cooperate intensively also with HIVOS Southern Africa's broader entrepreneurship program. And one of the activities we do together is the pitching you will see later on, well, in a few minutes, where we as a foundation, we anyway are in touch with so many entrepreneurs because we support them through one of our programs. And then we are also well positioned to pre-select and pre-train entrepreneurs for the next step, like make them investment ready. And of course, there's more opportunities than just HIVOS Impact Investment and the Food and Lifestyle Fund. But the Food and Lifestyle Fund is definitely an opportunity for entrepreneurs we work with. Few entrepreneurs. I also don't want to create the impression that every entrepreneur is necessarily investment ready. but a few entrepreneurs definitely are. So before I go and explain our whole program, I would like to say that Hugo, my colleague from the Netherlands, is sitting there and he's responsible for the whole social entrepreneurship program in HIVOS. And Wilson sitting next to him, and Marnix, who will be running around somewhere, I guess. They work in Southern Africa. Marnix is a tall white guy, you won't miss him. I can't see him now. Though there are quite a few of them here, I see. So I will stop it now by saying very warm welcome on behalf of all the organizers, and I hope you get a lot of inspiration, ideas, and motivation to also be your own disruptive entrepreneur. Is it in your own environment or in the broader society? And thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you very much, Tanya. We'll get straight into our competition for today. I'd like to ask the judges to introduce themselves.
Good morning. I'm Jaap Spreeuwenberg of the HIVOS Food and Lifestyle Fund. I think Tanya introduced me very well. Very excited to be here and to see everyone and looking forward to the competition.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ronelle Das, and I'm with Lifecon Limited. We support, we find, fund, and invest in impact entrepreneurs. And I'm excited to be here today.
Morning, everybody. I'm Pieter de Beer. I'm from the Industrial Development Corporation of South Africa. I'm from a specific business unit called New Industries. And we've got a keen biotech interest and trying to find something big new for South Africa just to create an industry that might either be forgotten or left the country or something new that we can find again.
Thank you, judges. We are excited to have you here. Let's give them a hand. Well, the instructions are very simple. We have 3 minutes time in which our competitors will pitch. 5 minutes will be dedicated to question and answers from the judges. Now, regarding time, we do have our timekeeper. At exactly 2 minutes, our contestants will get a warning so that they can utilize their 1 minute to wind up. Are we ready? Let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite to the stage Mr. Kudzai Kutukwa, Mob Insurance. Let's give him a hand. Kudzai, you have 3 minutes pitching, 5 minutes question and answer. Your time starts now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kudzai Kutukwa, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mob Insurance. The problem that we're seeking to solve is that of the unavailability of low-cost crop insurance for smallholder farmers. Now, there are a myriad of reasons why this is so, one of them being that the current commercial business model of insurance companies does not incorporate smallholder farmers. So what ends up happening is when there's a drought or a natural disaster like a flood, these smallholder farmers are affected the most and protected the least from such an event. So what we are working on, or our solution to that, was a satellite imagery-based crop insurance product, which is automated. By automating it, we use satellite imagery to reduce the amount of costs when it comes to monitoring the farmers and to also assess the crop growth. So that's one. Two, it also enables us to automate payouts, which is something that will make claims management easier and also very cheap. In addition to that, by using satellite imagery, we are able to then disperse necessary information to the farmer with regards to how their crops are doing and the health of their crops. So what that translates to is the fact that there are no site visits by an insurance assessor in the event of something happening. No claims are necessary because they are all automatically dispersed, and we can then detect crop stress earlier on and help the farmer prevent unnecessary crop loss. So one of the ways that we are looking at doing this is to build apps and a whole suite of technological services through which we can then pass on that critical information directly to the farmer. Now, the market in South Africa, we're looking at approximately 1.4 million smallholder farmers that we're looking to target. And at this stage, in our own database, we are sitting at about 1,200. And our current go-to-market strategy is to partner with aggregators and other agricultural organizations that support smallholder farmers, which we have done already. And we did conduct a pilot in the Mpumalanga area with smallholder cotton farmers, about 736 of them, as a way of assessing the robustness of our technology and to note all the critical things that we would want to, that can be hindrances insofar as providing the service. So we are currently a team of 5 that comprises of people from various backgrounds, machine learning experts, developers, as well as people from the insurance space. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kuzai. We'll now hear from the judges in 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's always the awkward moment, right, when your microphone doesn't work. I really like what you're doing. I like the impact that you're having. I think you're solving a big problem. I like the way that wherein you automate your business, so site visits are not possible. There are a lot of things about risk that you're taking, about weather, but I think what triggered me were the automated payouts. And so you are taking away the hassle of doing claims. Did you ever consider to move your company to a smart contract on the blockchain, wherein you take away the counterparty risk that you pose?
Yes, so those are some of the things we're currently working on in terms of how then to incorporate technology to then remove that counterparty risk. But currently we are sitting at a place where we are trying to balance a lot of things, the critical one being getting to scale as quickly as possible, and also getting the right algorithms through which we can then, which will enable that reduction of counterparty risk and allow us to then do remote monitoring much more effectively. So it is something that is within our timeline and pipeline of things that we're working towards.
I think it will help with fundraising maybe.
Yes.
Second question, how do, basically you're taking on all the risk of the weather in South Africa. How do you reinsure your own risk that you're posing when the climate changes?
Okay, so in terms of climate change, how we structured the model is by incorporating satellite imagery, we have a history of what the weather trends have been in the past 30 years or so, and it then gives us an indication of the present and what the future might look like. So whilst we're not trying to somewhat predict the weather, but we have a somewhat fair idea of what that would look like because it's based on data. And now when it comes to then finding reinsurance for those types of risks, because there's the data to back it up, it becomes much easier, as well as more reasonably priced, because we also come with the data to back up whatever price that we'll have set.
Thanks, Kuzai. It's an amazing presentation. What I'd like to know is what type of support are you looking for to help you get to the next stage?
So currently, what we're looking for are 2 main things. Firstly, it's a strategic partnership with an organization that either supports or works with smallholder farmers, because there's an element of, it's not just about a crop insurance product per se, but there is also an element of supporting a larger group at the same time by also dispersing that farming information or crop health monitoring information. So that's the first. And the second is we're also looking at financial support in the form of an equity investment, because we've reached this stage where we have somewhat de-risked our model to a greater degree, and we'll just want to scale up our operations from where we're at to get to the next stage. So that would be in the region of about $500,000. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Kuzai, a big hand.
Thank you.
Up next, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. John Paul Matenga from UFarm. John, thank you very much for joining us. You have 3 minutes to pitch, 5 minutes to respond to questions.
So, morning everyone. So there's two things that I strongly believe. The first thing is that there's no good excuse for not funding a farmer. And secondly, that UFarm is the future of agricultural finance in Africa. Towards the end of 2016, my mother became the recipient, she acquired a farm. And being a typical Zimbabwean mother, she made it my problem. So I looked at the situation. I was 33, I didn't own any properties to borrow against. What this meant was that no bank was going to lend me money to make that farm productive. It then occurred to me that there are thousands of Zimbabwean farmers sitting in the same boat. After doing some research, I discovered that there's a $223 million agricultural funding shortfall in Zimbabwe. Traditional financial institutions are not addressing the funding needs of farmers. Round about the same time, I was looking for ways of investing small amounts of money. And it then occurred to me that I can get people to invest in crops and livestock and share the profits with the farmers when the produce goes to market. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how UFarm was born. UFarm provides farmers with access to collateral-free finance by getting people to invest in crops and livestock and share the profits with the farmers when the produce goes to market. It allows people who do not have access to land an opportunity to earn money and become a part of the agricultural value chain. Think about it like the Airbnb of agriculture, except everyone gets paid for utilizing idle land. UFarm is the convergence of fintech and agriculture. Now, our business model is very simple. The farmers take 40% of the profits, the investors share 40% of the profits, and UFarm takes 20% of the profits. This for us is a win-win-win scenario. Now, since we started funding our first official crops at the end of December 2018, we've grown in leaps and bounds. We now have over $1.2 million in cropping orders for the 2019-2020 season. This means that every crop before planting has already got a market. In the past 2 months, we've raised close to $10,000 for a variety of projects. We have also grown at a rate of over 400% in the past 2 months, and we now have over 500 registered crop investors. We also have over 180 registered farmers working with us. We built a powerful system, and none of this would have been possible without our team. We have a solid, hard-working team and a great bunch of mentors who also work with us. I think one of them is also in the room if Vu is around. Okay, can't see him. UFarm is seeking $1 million
Your time
in
is
equity
up.
funding.
The judges.
Hi, thank you. Very, very good presentation. It's always difficult here at the end if you run out of time. I just want to ask a question on the last slide where you said you want $1 million
Yes.
investment. What do you want to do with that money?
So if you actually want to do this properly, you need quite a bit of money. So for example, if you want to start funding livestock, for example, you have to grow your own feed because 70% of the costs in livestock production go towards feed. So you need to actually start producing your own feed so that you can complete the cycle, the system. You also need logistics. You also need to be able to process and package the produce when it comes from the farmers as well, so that you can also value add.
So it sounds like you're going to do a bit of the farming yourself to make sure your investment does well.
Yes.
I really like your business. And I think you're an example why we like to invest in local entrepreneurs. Because the situation in Zimbabwe is not easy with the currency, and we all know that. And I think you take a dire situation and make something good out of it. You almost make from lemons lemonade. I think as a farmer in Sim, you're struggling with currencies. What you're doing actually is you're making the payment up front. And it's almost like 40% now is the same like 100% later. So you really pre-finance the farmers. And then for the general population in Sim that is struggling with what is my currency actually worth, what you're doing is you're offering an inflation hedge to the general population in Sim. And that's something that me from the Netherlands, I would never have come up with a solution like that. You did it. And I really cheer you for that, and really well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John Paul Matenga. Let's give him a hand. And the competition continues, ladies and gentlemen. I will now call upon Mr. Paul Shepherd of Future Farms. Paul, you have 3 minutes pitching, 5 minutes to respond to questions. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Morning, everyone. My name is Paul Shepherd. I'm from Future Farms. We provide hydroponic systems, hydroponic training, and fresh produce to the market in Johannesburg and Cape Town. Currently, we have achieved over 16 commercially viable farms in Johannesburg on the rooftops and in the CBD and on buildings. This is through a program created by the CEDA Fund along with WIPSI. In addition to this, we've trained over 20 previously disadvantaged individuals on how to fund and run hydroponically grown farms. We have over 18 months in R&D on a LED lighting campaign to grow indoors, as well as various different hydroponic systems. What we are looking for is to raise capital to expand and grow our phase to the next level, where we can create passive income to enable us to have further training programs of our own, as well as to create further offtake of our own. At the moment, after a year and a half, we've turned over 2.4 million rand. This is mainly due to building farms. The next round of funding has been approved on the next 20 farms going up in Joburg, which is great on a project basis, but again, we're looking to create that passive income. Why farming? Why urban farming? What we're trying to do is bring the agricultural produce to the cities by getting rid of logistical campaigns. So what we do is we grow on buildings, on top of buildings, inside buildings, where the market is already in place, where the outlets are already in place. Currently, our urban agriculture initiatives created over 16 jobs last year, with hoping for another 20 this year. As I said, the budget's been approved, and we're looking to grow this into an Africa-wide basis, not just in South Africa. There's an example of one of our farms in the Chamber of Mines in Johannesburg. Project 1, or Phase 1, will be a 1,500 square meter farm where we will supply offtake to Food Lovers Market, ShopRite, Spar and Kauai. We've already got that offtake settled out, so now we're looking for the funding to expand into the next level. And there's some financials on the thing. I won't get into the details. So what we're looking for is around 8 million rand to put up the farm, as well as run the operating expenses for 6 to 8 months while the farm becomes viable. And as we discussed yesterday, we are planning on to going to other markets, as you can see, that are becoming very apparent, and that work well with our LED lighting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Paul will now hear from the judges.
Hi, Paul. I was privileged to see you yesterday again, so I've got some pre-advantage here.
Yeah.
Just on your, why are you better? Why is this better than normal farming? You didn't really elaborate on that. If you can just.
So the main advantage is that because we grow in controlled environments, we can mitigate the concept of winter. Basically, we can increase our yields by twice the amount per year. So not only are our yields increasing, but our inputs are dramatically decreasing. We don't have logistical costs. We don't use fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, fungicides. We are completely organic. So our inputs are lower and our running costs are a hell of a lot lower in terms of logistics. Coupled with that, because we run a LED lighting company, we have the advantage of knowing exactly what spectrums to put into our lights to get the best yields out of all of our crops.
Okay, so this is not really relating to the business, but just for me to get a better sense of you, why did you decide to go this route? Why did you choose this? Why did you go into this space?
Into hydroponics. We believe the agricultural system is a little bit flawed. At the moment, we are taking massive amounts of local land and knocking it down and putting up systems to grow maize, whether it's for pigs or for agricultural produce in any form. And we believe we need to try and bring those farming back towards a small farmer concept, but back in towards the cities. A lot of small farmers don't have access to the markets because they're small and they're out in the districtal areas. Whereas if we bring them into the cities, they can now compete with the big guys, through better methods and through just being right there where the output goes.
I really love your product. I like the fact that you don't use pesticides, less water. I think also in South Africa, a big problem. But I'm having a little bit problems placing your company. So you're building and constructing farms on rooftops. It's a clear business. You increase the value of the rooftop property, like my colleague just said this morning when we were having a coffee. Then you want to have your own farm, and I also understand that you train disadvantaged youth, which is really a skill in itself. Can you elaborate a little bit on the last part? I know that my colleague from sitting next to me, they are doing projects like that. It's not easy. So who are you partnering with to train people and to train young people? Because that's something completely different from farming and building rooftops.
So part of the urban farming program is run by a company called WIBSI. They're an incubating company here in South Africa. They have come on board. They are the urban incubators of small businesses. So what they do is they come in and train new clientele on how to become actual business runners, whereas we come in and provide the technical and service training. So we train them on how to use the farms, how to use the processes of the actual farming techniques. So we're quite proud of that skills transfer that we're really trying to achieve in terms of hydroponic farming. I don't know if that answers your question on the training.
So you
side.
joint venture with an organization that has specific social skills?
Yeah.
Okay, great,
so,
thanks.
So they target social skills.
Nice to hear,
Yeah,
thanks.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Let's give him a hand. Ladies and gentlemen, from Afro Bodies, I'd like to welcome Dr. Peter Darkin. Dr. Peter, you have 3 minutes to pitch and 5 minutes to respond to questions. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Peter Durkin. I'm the Chief Scientific Officer of AfroBodies, a company that specializes in making microscopic substances easily detectable and measurable with or without a microscope. We do this by producing recombinant alpaca antibodies. Antibodies is a big business because they're good at detecting microscopic substances. These 4 sectors shown here spend billions of dollars every year on antibodies. Market growth in each of these 4 sectors is also looking positive. AfroBodies sees opportunities in all 4 of these sectors as outlined here, and we are actively going after these opportunities. The key to our market entry into these sectors lies with our production managers. Our production managers are a bit different to your normal production managers because they look like this. However, they are able to provide us with a blueprint on how to make high quality antibodies that have the outlined advantages over the majority of our competitors. We have been able to get market traction in 3 out of our target markets. Our 4th market, immunotherapy, we're currently in discussion with 2 customers to start running with 2 projects. In addition, that's our traction slide. In addition to getting our customers, we have also received external validation for our business model by winning incubator prizes and pitching competitions. Our CEO has also won additional prizes. What is our ask? We're currently looking to raise $600 million in return for equity, and we've currently raised $500,000 ourselves. The 5-year spend will look like this. We're going to spend the money on our 4 sectors in the following ratio: 40% in life sciences and 20% in the following sectors. Our combined 5-year profit and loss looks like this. In year 1 and 2, we will make a loss. We're in biotech. Year 3, we'll make a profit, a small profit, and by year 6, we plan to make a substantial profit, and this is when we plan that our VC partner will exit. The team behind AfroBodies looks like this. We have an inspirational CEO who has extensive international business experience and is currently an executive on one of the biggest government projects in the country. I bring some science experience from Europe and South Africa, and behind us, myself and Benedicta, spent 2 years traveling around South Africa putting the best team of people together in order to help us with AfroBodies. Someday a book will be written about the AfroBodies adventure, and I hope 1 or 2 of you here will form a chapter of that book. Ngia Bonga.
Thank you very much, Dr. Peter. We will now hear from the judges.
I like your business. You're going to do well. Sometimes I talk with other investors, and sometimes we talked before. You're in pesticides. I cannot invest in you. But you're always in my mind because I wish I could invest in you, and then I talk with other people and they're circling around you. You will do really well. But you're asking for a lot of money, 6 million. And in a way, you're selling part of your company to me or to other investors. And you make it really big. So my advice would be for you is like ask for the smallest amount that can increase your business and then ask for another amount. And because at this moment, your company is still cheap, and you need is still relatively cheap. So when you sell something to me, you need to give me a large part of your company to make up for my risk. So I would actually shrink the 6 million to maybe 500,000 that can make a really big difference. Sell that to the investors here, and then when you grow that business in the next round, your business will be more expensive. So I always said it's not only for you, but also all the other entrepreneurs always ask for the smallest amount that will make the biggest difference in your company. Then go to the next round and make your company bigger. I wish you really good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Peter. We had a chat yesterday as well, so I'm not going to go into that detail regarding the business. And I've got a keen interest in this, and I really think this is a very good thing that you do. Just for the audience benefit, and I also think about why what's it, acapulcos? I mean, something that we do not know, we don't know where they come from. Why not something more common than cows?
Yeah, so I deliberately left out that because it gets a bit technical, but basically, in short, they produce a specific type of antibody. In short, alpacas produce a specific type of antibodies that's not found in cows or rabbits or mice, your normal type of animals that 95% of antibodies in the world are produced by. These antibodies have been found in the scientific published literature to be more stable, they're smaller, you can do a lot more with them than 95% of the antibodies currently on the market. That's why we're going this route.
Thank you very much, Dr. Peter Durkin, Afrobodies. Let's give him a hand. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now about to hear from the only lady competing, and that's Ms. Sibongile Mongadi, representing Okuhamba. Let's give her a hand. Sibongile, you have 3 minutes to pitch and 5 minutes to respond to questions from the judges. Your time starts now.
28 February, year 2018. I had an opportunity to meet one of the MPT's patients in a central hospital in the Joburg. And what hurt me the most, or what broke my heart, I had to literally put myself in a amputated patient, because I feel like people living with disability are being treated less of human. And the treatment that was being given to the patient, it was not fair enough. So now the question is that, are we living in a country of social rejection? Greetings to you all. I go by the name of Sibongile Mongadi, a founder of a startup company called Okuhamba. Sorry, can I please be assisted with okay. Greetings to you all. I go by the name of Sibongile Mongadi, the founder of a startup company called Okuhamba. Okuhamba is actually an African word meaning a mobility in English, with a slogan that says, giving you a hand. The actual product that we are actually trying to develop is actually called your lightweight and your low-cost prosthetic limbs. This was actually defined from the challenges that MPTs are currently experiencing. So that's how I came up with the whole name of the product, to say, can it be affordable? Can it also be a lightweight? Because currently the lighter weight of a limb that you can get, it weighs 2 kg. So I'm trying to produce a lower limb that can weigh 1.5 kg. Okay. Sorry, our problem that we are trying to solve as Okuhamba is actually the demand of affordable prosthetic, which is currently higher than what is available in the market. For example, Chris Hani Hospital Baragwanath is being the 3rd largest hospital in South Africa, but it can produce or manufacture 120 prosthetics annually with an approximate 10,000 patients annually. So this simply says that a month they can only produce 10 prosthetics with about 300 patients on their database. Now, the solution that we have as Ukuhamba is actually to manufacture your lightweight and your low-cost processing limbs using your natural fibers, which are your biocomposites, and obviously using the advanced 3D technology, which is your 3D printer, to actually fasten the output production. Now, this is our solution concept. As you can see, it will actually start from your natural fibers, and these are your biocomposite, and it's going to be turned into your natural fibers. Then it moves to your composites, where you actually resin the fiber so that it can be composed to your 3D printer. The social impact is actually to manufacture your lightweight and your low-cost processing limbs that can be affordable to MPTs.
Your time is up. The judges.
Thank you, Sibongile. I'm sure you were going to get to it, but what type of support are you looking for?
Okay, the kind of support that I'm looking for currently, because I'm at the product development, I would be great to have, because that's one of the challenges, building a team and also getting access to industry experts as well, so that I can get a proper guidance. And in that also, like, I need a 3D printer.
So how much of financial support are you looking for?
Okay, I just need like plus 250,000, because currently there is a guy called Pumlani in Technology Innovation Agency who actually builds this 3D printer according to your specific design, and he built one already for the University of Wits in the Joburg South. Currently, Transnet Mhlalen Center, they are using it, and it's a big one, and it cost them like 150,000.
Yesterday you pitched and you already convinced me that I really love your passion, and I don't know if investors are the right type of people to invest in your business. You don't need so much money.
Yes.
And when I hear you talking now, there are charities that I normally support. So I would like to support you with a really small amount as a donation. And I think there are many more people here in the room that like your passion and your story. So I would actually reconsider, do you want to make a business or do you want to make a non-profit, like a social cause? Because I see you running a really, really successful social cause and you will be great in that. But I don't know if I would put my investment money in you, because I would like to support you from my heart. And when I put money into you, I do that with my head. And my head said no, and my heart screams yes. And I think a lot of other people have that.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's it from the judges. Thank you very much, Sibongile.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, it's been quite an intense 20 minutes or so. But, well, before we go to our next session, just a very quick question for the judges. The idea of entrepreneurship is to respond to the problems that society is facing. And very quickly, before we go, do we see this in the pitches that we got this morning?
Yes, so very quickly from my side, yes, I did see there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are addressing a need. And it was beautiful stories that were told. So I definitely seen that in the pictures.
If I may on that, while I'm sitting here, I think this session...
Those that came to pitch, I think you're ready. Let's give them a hand. I'd like to request that we now let our judges go and we set up the stage for our next session. And talking about the next session, we will have a panel discussion that will be facilitated by Dr. Flora Ishmael Tibazarwa. I'd like to urge the panel to also just get ready for the next discussion. Would you kindly help to set up the stage, please? Well, pardon me for that. Our facilitator for the next session is actually Dr. Togo. And let's just quickly get into his profile. Dr. Togo is a general manager for bioeconomy at the Innovation Hub Management Company. He has extensive research experience and background in biotechnology and general life sciences. Amongst some of his areas of interest are bridging the gap between the laboratory and market and commercialization of indigenous knowledge-based products. And he is here to look at enhancing the entrepreneurship landscape in the SADC region. Let's give him a hand and welcome him.
Thank you, Program Director. And I think I wouldn't fault you for saying the facilitator should be a female, because I heard that we are looking at our session is going to focus more on the female entrepreneurship. Anyway, thank you. Good morning, everyone. And I think since yesterday, we cannot debate the issue of the importance of entrepreneurship in economic development. But also we did highlight a certain number of points with regards to what is required to reach that point of taking the product to market. And therefore it is important that we focus on mechanisms to support and also looking at the role players in that space. And it is better for us to hear from the entrepreneurs themselves and the role players that are involved in helping the entrepreneurs. And as most people say, or if I can go back to one of the African proverbs that says, if you need to know how heavy a bag of salt is, you need to ask the person who is carrying it. So, ladies and gentlemen, may I welcome the panel members for this session to come to the front. Whilst they are coming to the front, those that have pitched their business ideas, may you please visit the website www.theinnovationhub.com and go on the GAP Biosciences, GAP Medical Competitions, and GAP Green or GAP ICT, and lodge in your application for that competition, but it will be mainly restricted to those that are in South Africa. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. And may I ask each panel member to introduce him or herself, cover where you are coming from and what do you do. I think we'll give each one 3 minutes and then we'll go into the question sessions.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Devina Lubin from Mauritius. And currently I'm doing my postdoctoral research at the University of Mauritius, and I'm working on a medicinal plant as a therapeutics for managing Alzheimer's disease. Apart from the research part, what else I do? So it's all started in 2013 when I was in UK for my study, and I realized that the African student, we are not exposed to the real nature of science. And I feel that Africa doesn't have the facility to promote indigenous talent in the STEM field. And I came back, and soon after, I joined the NEPAD SANBio as a youth ambassador. And since that, I'm actively promoting STEM as more, I would say, biosciences, and also female entrepreneurship among the youth and in the population in general. And yes, I'm working on different SANBio initiative project, and also currently I'm being part of the African Science Leadership Program, and I'm working on different projects that we really focus on science advocacy. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Muzalema Maria Mwanza from Zambia. I'm a civil engineer and the founder of Safe Motherhood Alliance. This is an organization that works in the maternal health care space, looking at providing solutions to women in low-cost communities and low-income areas. I am also the winner of FemBioBiz second edition, which is last year. I had the opportunity to go to Slush in Helsinki, Finland, where I won again on the pink stage. I am also an Africa Prize shortlist. Got an opportunity to go to London, to the Pitch at Palace, where my innovation won as well. So we're in the health tech space, looking at digital solutions for women and also helping to provide kits to resource-poor clinics and women in rural areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Buzanani Tacheba. I come from the Botswana Innovation Hub, where my key responsibility is innovation and technology. Botswana Innovation Hub, for your information, is a science and technology park, the first of its kind in Botswana. My key responsibilities are in the promotion of innovation, and within that framework, we are looking at creating opportunities for entrepreneurs, especially in the technology space. We run a technology entrepreneurship program where, in essence, we support entrepreneurs to be able to develop their concepts from prototype and to the point where they can scale them and attain some kind of commercial value. We run quite a number of instruments or services that are geared towards supporting those entrepreneurs. And to a large extent, we work with partners, the likes of SANBio and FemBioBiz. But even locally, we work with some of the local stakeholders in ensuring that we holistically provide for the entrepreneurs to progress in their journey towards getting to a point where their products are commercially viable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Flora Ismail Tibazarwa. I'm originally from Tanzania, and I work with the Southern African Innovation Support Program in its second phase. The first phase ended in 2015. This is basically a Finnish-funded program with the support of 5 African governments of Botswana, Tanzania, Namibia, South Africa, Zambia, and Namibia, where we are based as a secretariat. The program is basically providing innovation support to entrepreneurs, and the way we do this is to work through 3 main instruments. One is matching funding. We have a competitive call. We have had 2 last year. The second one is about to close. It closed actually yesterday for its full proposal stage. And in this, we support intermediaries. These can be civil society, they can be universities, they can be incubators, they can be innovation hubs and labs. And the idea is just to build regional collaboration anchored in SADC industrial policies for youth and employment as well. So the idea is to create employment, but also address societal problems. I think.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So I think to start with, I'll ask Dr. Tacheba, since you have talked about your institution that is supporting the growth of the entrepreneurs, and what are the mechanisms that are in place to support female or youth entrepreneurs, and should this be different to other mechanisms, and if so, why?
Right. Thank you very much for that question, facilitator. I think the number of support mechanisms, obviously, I think in the different countries within the SADC region, and I think my colleagues will probably touch into those. I will highlight a few in our experiences, particularly coming from Botswana. But I would like to delve into the specific aspect that you mentioned in the case of should these current support mechanisms be different from those that are being provided for men? In my view, I think, yes, we should have some kind of dedicated approach in terms of providing support for female and youth entrepreneurs that are somewhat slightly different from the ones that are provided for men. And why am I saying that? I think it's really about looking into the critical aspects of our population demographics. There is robust evidence that from a statistical perspective, most of our economies in Southern Africa or within the SADC region have got a big bulge in terms of the population demographics, mainly in the areas of youth, to start with, and secondly, with a bigger proportion of females to males. So based on that particular aspect, it would somewhat be not appropriate if we are leaving out the bigger proportion of, or not providing support for the bigger proportion of that which would otherwise give us leverage in terms of value for products and services coming from that portion of the demographics. And from there, I think that there's an opportunity to tackle existing challenges of unemployment and poverty alleviation. But going back to the element of Botswana in terms of our experiences, we've been in the space and appreciating the ecosystem wholly on how is it that it's providing for supporting entrepreneurs, and especially here we're talking about technology-oriented entrepreneurs. Now, as I said, I'm from the Botswana Innovation Hub, and from that perspective, part of our mandate is to facilitate the development of a synergized and functional innovation ecosystem. So we undertake a number of interventions, and most of these interventions include stakeholders. The specific emphasis of our interventions, first and foremost, like in a fully robust and integral technology entrepreneurship programs, which provides interventions like boot camps, networking platforms, access to grants funding, access to specialized infrastructure, testing and quality assurance facilities, adoption of new and emerging technologies. This is a very critical part. Providing innovation capacity buildings, and including also by extension to school-going kids, looking at digital subjects like robotics and coding, as well as ensuring that there's effective acceleration platforms that takes those entrepreneurs to a point where they can scale their projects. So in essence, that's really the role that we currently play. But we don't really play in that space alone. There's quite a number of different players. Government has got a number of interventions, some which are really specifically dedicated to the youth themselves. We've got a National Youth Fund, which is dedicated to youth in ensuring that youth entrepreneurs actually get grants that allow them to be able to progress, to grow their products. There's also a specific focus from a female's perspective, looking at gender affairs within the government framework. There's policies that are basically dedicated to funding instruments for women empowerment projects, and I think that is essential in ensuring that we address that aspect of the gender balance. So there's also a number of specific key players, especially when it comes to, scaling as well as development financing. We work closely with entities that are part of the investment portfolio of government, the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, through what is called the local enterprise authorities, as well as the citizen entrepreneurship development agencies. These provide a lot of capacity building for early stage entrepreneurs, including women. These are not really specific to females, but we also have instruments that allow funding for those entrepreneurs to scale their products. As much as these instruments may not be dedicated to females, we still think that they're very relevant. But from a civil society's perspective, there's a whole lot of other participants in the space. We've got the women in business associations who play a critical role of advocacy, training, and mentorship in that space. And they also inspire wealth creation from women participation in the economy. I think the rest of them are really more of what we are familiar with in terms of regional reach, being able to partner with the likes of SANBio, working with the likes of the Southern Africa Innovation Support Platforms, as well as the Africa Women Innovation Entrepreneurship Forum, all of which are really sort of matching the same cause. How do we support females and youth entrepreneurs to be able to project their business to the next level.
All right, thank you very much. I think you mentioned one word that sort of jagged my memory. You talked about boot camp. And colleagues, I heard people and investors talking about bootstrapping. And yesterday we had principal researchers, professors and all the like. But the question that came to my mind was, who is going to drive the business aspect of that technology that you are researching? Is it the professor or your postgraduate student? If it is the postgraduate student, it refers to the youth. And when we are referring to the youth, when these colleagues go to raise money, we normally hear a question as to, how much did you raise? You need to bootstrap. But the question is, here's a postgraduate who has just finished his PhD or master's, unemployed, and there's no mechanism to fund. If it is a postdoc, you need to do a research project, no postdoc that is going to translate to business. If you are science, do a research project, 7th edition of your thesis. How can these guys bootstrap when they don't have the boot? So definitely you have articulated the reasons why we need to have some of the mechanisms to support the specific and targeted group. Just now, we had presenters. Did you see the inclination of the technologies between the male and the female, although it was one, but there's a social aspect. And what was the comment from the judge? My heart says yes, but the funding aspect may say no. So there's a need to look into that. And whether we like it or not, there is an element of gender bias everywhere, even on Google. When you search, that machine learning is biased towards males. There's evidence to that. So there's a need to look into that. Another one, when you look at our systems as of today, you get health workers telling you that you need to breastfeed for 6 months, no solids, but you go to work and you are given 4 months maternity leave. And of those 4 months maternity leave, the other month is before birth. So that just shows that there is a need for that and why. And let's talk about the mechanisms that can be implemented. Mzalema, you have won a couple of competitions and you have walked this journey. In your view, what do you think should be the mechanisms or future mechanisms in light of what we have just discussed that could be put in place to ensure that you get the effective support that you need to reach the goal that you want as an entrepreneur?
Thank you. So I think some of the mechanisms that are implemented are some of the ones that are already existing. Like, for example, what we have with FemBioBiz. Without that support that we had through pitching, through making us investment ready, it would have probably taken me 3 or 4 years to get to the level that I'm at right now. So I definitely think innovation hubs have to be something that goes hand in hand with government policies. In terms of making pronouncements towards women and youth, there has to be definitely a bias towards women, because it takes twice as much effort for a woman to raise money as it does our male counterparts. I've seen this with VCs I've spoken to, who on your first introduction are always looking behind to see, who have you come with, or if you're in a meeting, automatically they assume you're there to take notes. And immediately there were 35 companies from around the world.
Just to...
And the female, just to bring it,
they realize they are...
People aren't, because of different reasons, they probably don't make it to access what sort of business they have committed to SAIS, but also then to benefit their own businesses. So it is not necessarily a generic acceleration that they receive or capacity building, but one that is going to be of value to them. And so that's the approach that we've taken, not to go with a generic offering that comes with most packages.
All right, thank you. I think in the interest of time, I'll give room for 2 more questions. And then, because from the opening statements yesterday, we were told that it's all about networking. So we will not be able, we will deliberately not answer every question, so that we encourage dialogue during the tea break and moving forward. So can we have 2 burning questions? And I'm biased to say, let's start with females, or at least, no, continue. No, it's okay. Okay.
Okay, I just want to ask, one of the things we are seeing with startups in Europe is that if the idea is really good, it's a threat to existing large companies. And so one of the things they're either doing is either taking something similar and doing it better, which then gives a challenge to the upcoming entrepreneur. The other way is that the big company swallows the small company, so they, buy them in and they work with them. Is that happening here, and have you had any experiences with this?
Okay, can we take the other question there, and I'll take I'll take. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Marie from the Seychelles Islands. I'm happy to see Mauritius being represented. Africa, don't forget about your wonderful islands. I just had to say that, sorry. My question is I haven't heard this being spoken about yesterday and today, about the preparation, the capacity building, whatever stage you are in your development as an entrepreneur, the personhood. Where is the development fit of the personhood? Because sometimes, a good idea can be in the hands of the wrong person. So where is the development in terms of, because it takes a lot of heart, a lot of passion, a lot of spirit to make it in wherever you are at. So where is that place in
large numbers of students,
that space in the development, in the hubs, we talk only about financial resources, but I think that is also important to discuss. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So can we have the mic? Let me.
It's a quick question, actually. I think it touches a little bit on what the previous speaker was asking. We've been talking a lot about funding since the previous, yesterday's sessions. My question now is basically on the disadvantaged groups, the women and the youth, if you like. I've seen a lot of ideas that actually came from what you would consider areas where people struggle to actually access information about potential donors and funding opportunities. And we get this kind of gatherings, and we talk, and every year we're still talking about the same thing. So my question now is, what would be the best program or initiative to actually get information to areas where people come up with ideas, and most of these ideas are actually brilliant. Every now and then you see them maybe on TV, you hear about them on radio, but in 5-10 years time you still not have seen anything about that particular technology going to the market or getting commercialized.
All right, colleagues, we have got 4 minutes. So maybe you say minute in trying to address all that, and maybe I can address the issue of preparation of the entrepreneurs. If you look at Botswana Innovation Hub, the Innovation Hub that we have in Pretoria, and a couple of the others that are members of the International Association of Science Parks, we recognize the environment within which we are, and we do not believe in just teaching the person how to fish, but we also give you the fish to taste so that you feel that this is good and you get the energy. So there are a couple of training programs before you get into the into the incubation, like the competitions that we are talking about. They've got a training component of that, so that we prepare the people to get into, and the issue of team building and all the like is covered in such programs. The challenge that we normally have is, how do we synchronize particularly the academic sector with some of these incubation hubs? Because when we run some of these programs, most times you don't find the supervisors or the departments willing to release the students, because they have to cover the schedule So those are some of the aspects, but colleagues, you can address quickly.
I can take the first question about startups. I think whether you're a startup in Africa or Europe or the US, the same applies. I think you have to fail fast, which is a phrase that means you have to start where you are with what you have and get to the market as quickly as you can, because definitely people, investors, other entrepreneurs are always looking at the markets, trying to see where can they get through or get in. So I think another thing also is partnerships and networking, because if you find the right partner, it only takes one. Even if someone else does come in your space, because you've done a good job at what you're doing, they quickly realize if they don't collaborate with you, they don't have an entry point in your market. So I think it's networking and also getting started. You can build, test in a lab, but if you don't go to the actual market to see if your product will be taken up, it'll end up staying in the lab. So I think failing fast, building networks, partnerships is critical to any business.
Thank you.
I will answer the third question. How to reach people in the rural place? Like the best idea, I would say like SANBio has been doing, having ambassadors. And we can leverage and extend this network to other organizations. For example, the Botswana Innovation Hub can take the help of SANBio ambassadors to reach people in the rural place. I remember for the first edition of the SANBio Biz, there were Palisa, she's not here, but she traveled all the way to a rural place to meet a lady who was doing a project on sustainable farming. And the lady, she didn't know about SANBio, she didn't know about this pitching competition, she was just doing a business, and she wanted to take the business to the next level. And it was Palisa who helped her to write the application. And she came for the boot camp, the lady came for the boot camp and everything. So it's not about winning, it's about winning the prize money. It's about getting the training, the mentorship, and I think she benefited a lot from it. So definitely if we can collaborate at this level, like leverage the network we have, and also maybe have more ambassadors to help with different organizations.
Okay, thanks, Dr.
Yeah, maybe to quickly add into that, from the Botswana Innovation Hub perspective, one of the critical elements is that we are not seen to be only sort of localized within the urban areas. We have got an outreach framework where basically we essentially work through other enterprises, social enterprises specifically, where we actually facilitate the development of co-creation facilities in the rural areas. The whole idea is to empower communities to be able to create or to recreate solutions for themselves, working with people that can be able to capacitate them to be able to do that. That way you actually develop a framework where, essentially speaking, they even become aware of critical aspects around, how do they protect those ideas and how do they get them to the next level. Reflecting on the issue of, building or molding the individual into a robust entrepreneur, I think a critical element here is the issue of mentorship. Because essentially speaking, to be able to, survive the trials and tribulations of the failures and all that, one always needs to be able to have somebody who's mentoring them, who is helping them to appreciate that, look, it's normal to be able to fail, and that they need to be able to sort of stand up, pull up their stocks, and then be able to sail on. In essence, that's really one of the critical elements that leads to a successes in most of the entrepreneurs, because they learn from the journeys, and they don't only learn from that, they're given courage by the people that have done that before, and they keep them sort of afloat in terms of addressing those particular challenges. I think the last one that I want to touch on is that it's become very evident, and I think Mzalema just addressed it, that currently in our local markets, females and in particular women have challenges in being able to access funding. And actually, from the statistics that I have, only 2% of female-initiated businesses have access to venture capital. And if you look at the African space, or actually the Southern African space, venture capital is still very much limited. So I think there's a need for a lot of effort for us to be able to work in terms of as being hubs, facilitating or playing advocacy in getting venture capital to appreciate the business that are coming from the female entrepreneurs and empowering them to be able to fund those. And that is where we can be able to see them succeed.
Thank you. Not to repeat what has already been said by my very competent panel colleagues, but I just wanted to point out, those of you who are familiar with the AACF program,
This is one of the programs that has been very instrumental in documenting the entrepreneur's journey. So when they provide funding to individual entrepreneurs, unlike what we do, which we provide to only organizations, they also look beyond the business support services that they do give to the entrepreneur, because some of the challenges are beyond just them understanding how the business works and how it fails and how the market accepts or doesn't accept their products. And so this trying to minimize or bridge the gap of the value of death is something that they've been able to do, and I think we shouldn't reinvent the wheel and just copy what others are doing. Another thing that through our focal points that we're doing is working with local government authorities, and they're also setting up innovation platforms in the different countries to try and better reach those who are excluded from cities where most of the innovation seems to be happening, or at least the support to innovation seems to be happening. And these are just a few strategies that are out there that people can look at.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have come to the end of our session, but just one thing that I need us to consider as we go. Dr. Tacheba talked about mentorship. And I remember talking to one of the entrepreneurs, and he said, it is so difficult to get a prominent South African businessman to talk to him or businesswoman to talk to him or her. But if you get referred by someone from America to that person, all the doors are open. Are we doing a service or a disservice to our entrepreneurs? Why should we wait to be referred to a person to be referred to by someone from far away, yet we have got that person inside? So that type of mentorship we need, but also we need to have accessibility to those that have made it. So I think it's something that we need to think about it, and we must change our mindset, we must change our culture, and we need to move away from the culture of regarding success by looking at how many people are below ourselves, and start to talk about success by looking at how many have we brought to be at the same level or better than ourselves. Thank you very much. Thank you, the panel members.
Thank you so much to the panel members. Thank you very much to the facilitator, Dr. Togo. Ladies and gentlemen, very shortly I will draw your attention to a video on LabHack, which shows how the youth can make equipment on very low budget. But before we go there, I must indicate that after this video, we will go into a 15 minutes tea break, after which we will have a spotlight, and Vuyiswa will come through to look at issues of fundraising. The focus will be on how you can fundraise through equity funding and crowdfunding. Well, right now, let's just take a look at the next video on LabHack.
Large numbers of students often have to share single items of laboratory equipment, making it difficult for them to gain the hands-on experience necessary for effective science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education in Africa. In November 2018, the Southern Africa Network for Biosciences, in collaboration with Oxford University, hosted South Africa's first lab hackathon. 5 teams from across SADC member state universities were challenged to form teams of multidisciplines in order to build laboratory equipment such as PCR machines, centrifuges, and magnetic stirrers, with an additional open category for medical equipment, using building materials and tools purchased at their local hardware stores. To achieve this, students had 2 days to build a prototype with a budget of only 2,000 Rand.
In DNA replication, there are 3 stages.
So our centrifuge is in a frame.
The main materials that we've used that haven't necessarily cost us anything because they were backyard materials.
We were working on a PCR machine.
In our Voltex mixer, we had included a motor, a variable power supply.
LabHack aims to bring the ideas and ideology of the open hardware movement to the African educational community by creating opportunities for equipping labs for and by Africans in a novel and sustainable fashion.
Problem solving is a critical skill
of the 21st century. And what you guys have done by putting together these multidisciplinary teams, I think you've embraced even what we in our sectors are trying to coin the fourth industrial revolution. Because all it is, it's about people of different skill sets with different know-how, bringing together different technologies to address pertinent issues. We know that infrastructure in the R&D space is a critical gap.
When it comes to science, what is important is the actual question rather than which field you belong to. So everybody worked really well with each other, and I was so impressed with you guys, and congratulations.
Getting to attend this competition has opened up my mind to different ways of thinking scientifically. When we're taught in schools, we use equipment readily constructed, but in this case now, we're being asked to look at how it operates.
It has been fantastic, I think. It was quite good to see how the teams were working together and also helping each other because they're different skills. So you found some teams some mentors from Zimbabwe, the teams from Zimbabwe working in Botswana working in Namibia, and the reverse, which was quite good.
I'm so impressed. I think that asking undergraduate students to build a working prototype of a centrifuge or a PCR machine in basically 2 days is a huge ask for anywhere, regardless of the background of the students or the availability of the resources. And I think the fact that we have got working prototypes from the students is just unbelievable. It's extremely impressive. I would definitely like to see more country lab hacks for the countries that have been represented here. And I think that we now have interested students who will be able to be ambassadors and catalyzers for getting these country lab hacks going. I know that SANBio is very committed to regional development, and I think it would be great if they would take forward regional lab hacks, because I think it's been very interesting for the students to meet their counterparts from different countries.
These past 3 days were a reminder of the power that lies in the youth as well. And so much innovation, so much energy, so much excitement. It also gets you excited as well. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what the past 3 days were for me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, those are the untold tales of, what we wanted, what we all came here for, to hear those stories of how this project, of how Biofissa 2 has impacted on the generation. And of course, I'm excited to have just watched that. And with that, I would like to now invite you to a tea break. We will be back after 15 minutes. We're doing so great on time, so let's clap for each other. And when we return, Vuyiswa will, for 10 minutes, give us insights on VC and private equity funding and crowdfunding. Enjoy your tea.